All right, let's get back to the Dave Elswick Show, a Friday edition. 2 hours left. We're 50% through today's broadcast. And hope you enjoyed that Hugh Hewitt interview with the president in the last hour and what he had to say. A lot of information there about Venezuela and how he's viewing China and Cuba as well. I thought some interesting information from the president about that and about Iran as well. You know, he's put Iran on notice now. They start shooting people in the streets and things of that nature. All bets are off. And between us and the Israeli Air Force, we could do a lot of damage again to them in a very short order. Scott Jennings talked about the Minnesota incident, and he, of course, is a CNN contributor and host with Salem Media, framed well the tragedy in the broader context of what resulted in the death of a woman in Minneapolis. Jennings said this: "It strikes me that we are undergoing an epidemic of political vigilantism right now. Why are people showing up in vehicles and convoys, just not in Minneapolis, but all over the United States, in an effort to obstruct lawful federal law enforcement activities?" Now, here's my question. Who's putting up the money for this to happen? Who's putting up the money to hire these protesters to go out and do what they do? I think they need to find out who that is, and then those names need to be made public so the American people can make them the pariahs they should be. These people, like I said, are coming from all over the country. For instance, the woman that was shot just a couple of days ago was driving a car with Missouri tags on. She works with a company in Missouri. So why was she in Minneapolis? What was she doing in Minneapolis? Was she on vacation and decided to go up into Minneapolis and get involved with the anti-ICE demonstrations? It's just weird. This is not an isolated incident. We've had hundreds of car rammings against ICE agents all over the country, according to DHS. This lady in this car, along with other vehicles, had been tracking ICE agents around. Why are people believing that they can drive their car into a federal law enforcement situation? And that is an appropriate thing to do. I understand they don't like the fact that these agents are enforcing existing immigration law, but that's not how we change laws in this country. If you don't like a law, you talk to the politicians. You don't drive your car into the middle of a building or a law enforcement situation that's being occupied by the people who are simply there to enforce the law. See, I go along 100% with that. And I want to know who's putting up the money. They can find that out, and they should find it out. And if somebody gets hurt in these protests, they should be held to account for things that are happening at the protests that they are supporting. Now, I'm not happy about this next story. It's not likely that the motion is going to become law. This motion is aimed at limiting further action in Venezuela. The vote marked a rare bipartisan rebuke of the White House and underscored growing unease over the administration's use of war powers. The 52-47 vote on the motion came less than a week after the U.S. seized Venezuelan strongman Maduro and his wife in a nighttime raid. Members of the Democratic caucus were joined by 5 Republicans in advancing the measure. The resolution required only a simple majority to advance because it is considered a privileged measure under the War Powers Act, allowing it to bypass the Senate's usual 60-vote filibuster threshold. The measure is almost certain not to become law. It still requires a final vote in the Senate and would also need to be approved by the House. Even if it did clear Congress, the White House said Trump would veto it, and a congressional override would require a two-thirds vote in each chamber, which neither side can muster. So I wouldn't think it would be, be able to be passed into law. But what are these 5 Republican senators thinking about? It's not like what the president did was, in some way, wrong. It wasn't. He has all the power in the world to do what he did. Bush the second used it. Bush the first used it. You had Obama using this. It's just crazy that Republicans would support the Democrats on this. And I wish I knew who the Republicans were. I haven't found a list of that to do that. So anyway, these people who voted with the Democrats on this to try to limit the president and the War Powers Act and whatnot, GOP voters are showing strong support for the U.S. military action in Venezuela. So why are the 5 Republicans voting with the Democrats? Trump seems to have rather effectively convinced the Republican voters. A full 78% of GOP voters now say they are supportive of the military action. Axios reporting, once hesitant or disapproving of using the U.S. military to invade Venezuela, the vast majority of Republicans now say they approve of what President Trump's raid and the stunning capture of Maduro did. Trump tested his base's appetite for new international incursions, and they have rallied behind him since the stunning Venezuela operation and his claim that the U.S. will, quote, run the Latin American country. Nearly 3/4 of Republicans said that they somewhat or strongly supported the U.S. using military force to invade Venezuela in a YouGov poll released Wednesday and conducted after last weekend's shocking operation. That's a sharp increase from just days prior. Once the voters found out exactly what went down, they totally supported it. Trump announced the operation January 3rd. 53% of Republicans said they'd support such military force. In a December 2022 poll, that figure was down in the 43 percentile range. Back in September and October, only about 3 in 10 Republicans said they would support military action targeting Venezuela. An even larger share of Republicans, 78%, now say they approve of using military force to capture Maduro, per the YouGov survey. So once it happened, once it was successful, then Republicans were asked about it, and they were all about it. They were all about it at that point. Hey, the world is a better place with Maduro not in it. That's a good thing. That he's not doing things to up in the apple cart down there in Central America is good. That they're trying to slow the amount of cocaine and other drugs that are coming into the United States by that cartel is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It is a good thing that's going on. So, get behind the president and, tell him to Let's do more. Let's use the Monroe Doctrine to get the Soviets or the Russians and to get the Chinese out of Central America, along with Hamas, who is up there in Caracas in Venezuela as well. That, to me, is just a smart thing to do. All right, when we come back, the Atlanta Fed doubled its fourth quarter GDP estimate. Wait till I tell you about this when we come back on the Dave Elswick Show. Before we do that, though, let me remind you that if you get stuck on the side of the road, if your car breaks down and you need a tow, the place that I would highly recommend you calling is East End Towing. They've got the equipment to do the tows from a Class A RV or a 18-wheeler all the way down to a smart car. They can handle all of it. They also have, road assistance to come out and change a tire on your car if you need it done. They'll take care of that as well. I've used them many a time. They've changed a tire on my car right here in the parking lot of where I work and did a fantastic job of it. Young lady who showed up to take care of it, pulled out the big old jack, put it underneath my car, jacked the car up, took the tire off, put the spare on, checked the pressure on the spare, needed a few extra pounds, added some extra air to it, and she did it all in under 20 minutes. She was really, really efficient and did a good job. Now, she made me promise that I wouldn't give her name. She didn't want a lot of people knowing that she was the person who had come out to take care. But they've got a bunch of people with East End Towing that can do all the things that I just talked about. They can come out and service you on the road. They'll service you in your own driveway if you need it, like maybe you need a battery or something like that. All you have to do is call them, 501-888-8849. That's 501-888-8849. Anything, anytime, anywhere, it's East End Towing. Well, there's encouraging news for all watching the economy. As we approach midterm elections this fall, Market Minute reported in a move that has sent shockwaves through global financial markets, the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta drastically revised its GDP Now tracker for the fourth quarter of 2025. On January 8th of 2026, the estimate for real GDP growth was effectively doubled. At the time that it came out, the GDP growth was projected at 2.7%. That's been changed. The economy is heating up, folks, and it's heating up in a way that we want it to a staggering 5.4%. I can't remember the last time we ever cracked the 5% ceiling. This revision marks one of the most significant upward adjustments in the model's history, suggesting that the American economy is not merely avoiding a recession, but is currently in the midst of a high-octane expansion that few analysts saw coming. The immediate implications of this sizzling forecast are profound. With official government data currently delayed due to an ongoing federal shutdown, the shutdown that happened, they're behind in reporting their numbers. The Atlanta Fed's nowcast has become the primary North Star for investors and policymakers alike. And the 5.4% figure suggests that despite high interest rates and global geopolitical tensions, the U.S. consumer remains undeterred, and the domestic trade balance has shifted in a way that provides a massive tailwind to national output. This is all good news. This is big news for us here in the United States. So good stuff. And I'll keep reporting on this stuff as we see all of this that's happening. The whole breaking and shattering of the war on fossil fuels that Biden had and now has been stopped here in the United States has had a profound effect on the economy thus far. A big effect. That's why gas prices yesterday when I went and filled up was $2.19. Last time I was over at Murphy's in front of Walmart in Cabot, where I fill up typically, it was in the $2.35 range. So, when gas is falling every 2 or 3 months by upwards of 25 cents a gallon, that is significant into your wallet. I mean, I fill up twice a week probably. It's a new car that I bought a couple of years ago, which is a 2020 model. Gets about, in the city, about 23.5, 23.8. And the last fill-up that I did was $32. A full to $32 because I was almost to empty. I had driven the car under a quarter of a tank and near to the red in the quarter of a tank designation, and it was $32. Well, last fall to fill up my car, it was costing me about $42 a fill up. So let's figure I'm saving $7 a fill up times 2 fill ups every week. All right, so that's $14 times 4, and that's what, $56 that I saved. You take that over the course of a year, and in fact, I'm going to be saving more as I look down the road. But $56 times 12, do the math. It's that's pretty close to $1,000 a year. It's pretty good. I think I like that. Buys a lot of milk, buys a lot of M&Ms, which I eat, and buys a lot of chicken, which I eat. And you should be happy with that. Prices at the supermarket have come down around 2% across the board. That's a savings as well. You think for a moment, let's say you're paying $400 a month for feeding your family. If you were saving 10%, you save $40. If you saved 5%, you'd be saving $20 when you bought groceries, and you're saving about $11 an outing to the grocery store. So just add it all up as you're watching it, and the amount of money you're paying for other things are going down as well. It's going to continue to accelerate as well. That is a good thing that is happening, and we are going to be pleased with that. I'm sure. All right, we're coming up at 9:30. We'll get the news to you. Then I got another story with you that I want to talk to. I'm so glad that I don't live in California. I mean, I remember when I was younger. I'm talking about when I was in my early 20s. And part of my job as a salesperson, my territory that I covered was Arizona, California, Oregon, and Washington. And I went out to California to do my work out there. And I was excited because, back in the early 70s, California was the place to be. It's a nice place to live and to visit. And I enjoyed it now. It was a lot different than the Midwest where I had grown up at. You didn't have men walking around in hot pants where I came from and outside of Chicago. And you didn't have men sitting on buses playing tonsil hockey with each other. But that happened when I was out in San Francisco. Those were some of the weird things that were going on. But as far as, things like the music scene and stuff like that, it was great. I'll tell you one thing I liked. It was in California. Tom, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever had a woman walk up to you and sit down next to you at the bar and try to pick you up? You ever had a woman trying to pick you up? Or you have? All right, where was it at? Where were you at? Can you remember?
I can't remember. It's been a long time, but only once.
Just once, okay. Well, it happened a lot for me in California. The women were more forward as far as that went, and I kind of liked it, to be honest with you. I'm not against pretty women talking to me, and saying, "Hey, why don't we go have dinner or something?" And these weren't hookers, okay? I want to make that obvious. These weren't hookers. These were just everyday young ladies, business women and stuff. But that kind of thing hadn't been happening in the Midwest. It was happening out in California. But the California then and the California now are absolutely two different places. All right, a break, and then we'll be back with more of the Dave Elswick Show. Now, speaking of California, crazy stuff just continues to happen on the left coast. And a case that received inadequate attention doesn't surprise me. They try to cover up these types of stories. When it was decided late last month, and here is what was decided in California. California educators can no longer lie and conceal the fact that your child is identifying as a gender opposite of their biological sex at school. The Thomas More Society is reporting that they achieved a historic victory in Mirabella versus Olson, ending California's gender secrecy policies. This is amazing to me. To give my kid an aspirin when I had kids in school, I had to go get a doctor's order that they be able to take that aspirin. And it had to be on file with the front office. Here, the front office or a teacher or whatever can hide from me, can lie to me about let's say I had a son, and he suddenly said that he thought he was a girl. They don't have to tell me boo about that. Nothing. Zip. Now, this is out in California. And so it ended California's gender secrecy policies and restored transparency and parental involvement in public education. Decision and federal court order issuing a class-wide permanent injunction on this. Albert Moeller, U.S. District Court Judge Roger Benitez, handed down a ruling at the end of December saying that parents have a right to know what is going on with their children. Do you think? Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I can be held liable if I'm not taking care of my children, as well as the state believes I should. and can throw my booty in jail if they so decide, and take my children from me if they don't think that I'm doing a good job. Now, you should know if your children are talking about wanting to be a different gender. Public school teachers now can't be put in the position of hiding that information from parents, because some school systems force teachers to do that. They tell them, no, don't tell the parents about that. You just hold that close to your chest. They can't lie to parents, misrepresenting reality to parents if indeed one of your children or those of one parent or two parents, if one of those children is presenting in a different way in terms of gender identity, and that includes pronouns, name, dress, you just go down the list. At school, parents, according to this U.S. District Court judge, must be told. Behind that is also the fact that public school teachers are not, according to this judge, to be put in the position of lying or misrepresenting the reality of what's going on with children in their classroom when dealing with the parents of these children. Reality has a way of fighting back. I mean, it's good to see this particular decision, because this has been going on now for years. They've been covering this stuff up and not telling you. They're teaching your children this kind of garbage in school, and then when the kid or your kids start, manifesting the results of that teaching and start saying, well, maybe I'm really not a boy, all right? And they tell the teacher, I feel kind of like a girl. The teacher doesn't, in fact, was told maybe by some schools, you don't tell the parents that the child is identifying as a girl. You don't share that information. Well, doggone it, if it's my child, you better share that information, because if you don't, I'm going to sue your ass. I can tell you that right now. Right now, I'm not going to be suing anybody right now. I don't have any kids in school anymore. Most of my grandchildren now are not in school anymore. I do have a few that are still in school, but I got some great grandchildren that are going to be going to school. So I talk to my kids, and I talk to their kids that now have had kids, and we talk about this stuff. And, tell them that it's their right as parents that they should know this stuff. And if your school board is passing rules that tells the teachers that they shouldn't share that information with you as a parent, then it's time to get yourself a new school board. And you need to vote people out of office. I'm your worst grandparent, okay? I really am. Because I do. I tell my kids that, hey, I did it for you. I expect you to do it for my grandkids. And I expect for you to do it for my great-grandkids. So that's what comes down. All right, we had a big victory for religious liberty as well. A win at a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. It's really Ninth Circuit. With enormous implications for First Amendment freedoms. So, reported in the New York Sun, religious organizations in Washington state can now exclusively hire employees for non-ministerial positions who share the group's doctrinal and ideological beliefs, a federal court has ruled. A church in Washington, the Union Gospel Mission of Yakima, sued Washington in 2023 over the state's anti-discrimination law that parents' religious organizations from exclusively hiring employees who align with their beliefs for non-ministerial positions. I don't see any problem with that. If somebody is wanting to work for a private school, and they're filling, you ask them to fill out paperwork, and you say, "Do you believe that Jesus Christ is the only way to get to God? Do you believe that cohabiting with somebody else and you're not married to them is wrong? Do you think that it's not right for two men to have sex with each other, two women to have sex?" And you right down the line, you're saying you're agreeing that that's the way that you feel. They were trying to shut schools down that were asking questions like that because they wanted religion out of those schools. So these are private schools. The lawsuit was initially dismissed, but it was revived by the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and remanded to a lower court, which enjoined Washington from enforcing its anti-discrimination law. This week, a three-judge panel on the Ninth Circuit ruled in favor of the mission, blocked Washington State from enforcing its anti-discrimination law. The judge who wrote the opinion, who was a Trump appointee, said, quote, "Washington cannot override the First Amendment's church autonomy doctrine." The Yakima mission was represented by the Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF. A senior counsel for ADF, Jeremiah Gallups, said in a statement, religious organizations shouldn't be punished for exercising their constitutionally protected freedom to hire employees who are aligned with and live out their shared religious beliefs. And the judge found in favor of that. And that's good. This is really good news for all of us. All right, got to get a break, and let's do that. Then we'll come back and finish up the 9 o'clock hour for a Friday edition of the Dave Elswick Show. All right, it's about 12 minutes to 10 o'clock here on the Dave Elswick Show. And I was just reading an article from Harvard Medical about power naps. I'm a firm believer in power naps. When I go home from working here at the station, I usually take about a 30-minute nap for the rest of the day, and that lets my mind, kind of reset itself and get ready to go. And there's better times to take your nap, and you don't want to go longer typically than 30 minutes, because if you go past that 30-minute threshold, at that point you're entering into deeper sleep, and that can start screwing with you. I don't know. Have you ever taken a power nap and you slept longer than you wanted to, and then you wake up and you feel like you've been drugged? I mean, I hate that feeling. I mean, your whole body is out of sync because of it. And what you want to do more than anything else is to close your eyes again and go back to sleep and get the amount of sleep you need to make for that nap time, which is at that point probably going to be well over an hour. And most of us don't have that much time to burn when it comes to nap time. You got to know when to take your nap and when not to be taking your nap. That's important. There's good times and there's bad times for everything, and going longer than 30 minutes is one that you don't want to do. All right, that's funny. They got a meme out. The magazine is FAFO. That's pretty funny. Number one, and it says the fraud edition, and the picture of it is of Tim Walz on the front of it. And let me see what is it saying on his sweatshirt here. It says, Quality Leasing Center is what it says on his hoodie. 612-702-4012. I don't know where that would get you if you called that number, but it's on this thing that he's wearing, and it says Mini Somalia. a total work of two words, Minneapolis and Somalia, and the name of the article is The Dropout. That's great. That's very, very good. I'll put that up on my Facebook page. I'll get it for you. You guys can check it out. It's I found it funny. I did. I found it very funny. So anyway, that's what's going on with Walz. He is the laughing stock of America right now. Is what he is. All right. They have found out that Renee Good, that's the lady that was shot and killed the other day, for trying to run down ICE agents. Renee Nicole Good, part of ICE Watch Group, Homeland Security sources are now saying. Protests continue in Minneapolis about this. Renee Good, the mother of three, shot and killed by a federal agent after allegedly swerving her car toward him, worked as a Minneapolis-based immigration activist, serving as a member of ICE Watch, according to federal sources. Good died on Wednesday after allegedly moving her car toward agents in what the Department of Homeland Security described as an act of self-defense. Homeland Security sources told Fox News that the group aims to monitor, track, interfere, and oppose ongoing federal immigration enforcement operations. The group is present in multiple sanctuary cities across the country. While the group typically refers to themselves as, quote, legal observers, unquote, sources said members will often attempt to interfere with federal operations, which is against the law, by the way. Quote, she was a warrior. She died doing what was right, a mother named Lisa, whose child attends the same school as Goods, told the New York Post. I know she was doing the right thing. I watched the video plenty of times, but I also know in my heart the woman she was. She was doing everything right, unquote. According to DHS, Good followed federal ICE agents to two other locations prior to the shooting and was blocking the roadway to interfere with ongoing enforcement in the area. Federal authorities are looking into these groups to determine their sources of training and funding. Video circulating online shows an ICE officer approaching Good's stopped SUV and attempting to open the driver's side door before the vehicle drives forward. A second agent standing in front of the vehicle then fires multiple shots at close range. ICE watch-style networks have been linked to multiple confrontations with federal agents throughout the country, including incidents involving individuals using their vehicles to block or strike officers. So, if you try to run into an ICE officer, don't be surprised if they pull their weapon and protect themselves. That, you remember, I can't think of the guy's name, the policeman here in Little Rock. that a guy tried to run into him, and the police officer jumped on the hood of the car to keep from being run down and shot through the windshield and killed the driver. I remember that. I don't remember what was the final verdict of that, but the guy definitely was trying to kill the police officer. And I don't think that you can blame anybody that's in law enforcement for using means to protect themselves to do that. Now, here's another live update. This one just happening. It says Minneapolis mayor is now pleading for state investigators to be allowed into ICE shooting probe. Now, let me get something right. Your police have been told not to be involved with ICE, not to do anything with ICE, not to help ICE, to hinder ICE at times, etc., etc. But now, when you're going to do an investigation, we're supposed to let these people who have shown themselves to be biased to be involved in these investigations. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think that the mayor should be told, hey, go sit down and shut up. We're not going to let you do anything. All you want to do is to get in here and stir it up. No, we won't do that. You want to help us in picking these people up, then that's one thing. But when you tell us, well, I can't do that because it's a sanctuary city, then they should come back and tell the mayor, well, since you're a sanctuary city, which tells us that you have the proclivity that you don't want to help ICE, that sorry, but no can do. We cannot let you take part in the investigation as well. Jacob Fry made the plea today for state investigators to become involved in the investigation into the shooting death of Renee Nicole Good by an ICE agent, calling the Trump administration's description of the events deeply concerning. Fry spoke after the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension said Thursday it was withdrawing from the investigation after being told by the FBI it would not have access to the materials required for a thorough and independent review. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem later said they have not been cut out. They don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation. That's the main thing to understand. It's a federal investigation. They're state. They don't need to have their nose into this thing. In Minneapolis, when tragedy strikes, there's one word that summarizes what is most important. That word is integrity. This is not the time to bend the rules. This is a time to follow the law. This is not a time to hide from the facts. This is a time to embrace them, making sure that we're pushing for transparency every step of the way. Now, that's what Fry said. All right. Well, for them to get involved in this, then they should be helping ICE and the border people, Border Patrol, in carrying out their duties. Quote, the fact that Pam Bondi's Department of Justice and this presidential administration has already come to a conclusion about those facts is deeply concerning. The facts that from the very beginning they're calling the victim a domestic terrorist, they're calling the actions of the agent involved as some form of defensive posture. We know that they're already determined much of the investigation, and even if they haven't, there is the appearance that there is some conclusion drawn from the very beginning. Our ask is to embrace the truth, of course, because only they have the ability to discern what the truth is. Our task is to include the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension in this process because we in Minneapolis want a fair investigation. is it deeply concerning that this administration, from the very get-go, is drawing the conclusion that they may ultimately come to. Of course it is. And if you got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it. Include local experts in the process. We got nothing to hide from here. All we want in Minnesota is justice and the truth, except that you've told your local police and your state police that you're not supposed to help the folks in ICE or in the Border Patrol, that they should get the F out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that you don't want them anywhere around your city. Well, that seems like to me you've come up with a pretty solid belief system of what those people are all about. The Minnesota Teachers Union, by the way, is saying we need ICE away from our schools, unquote. We'll look at that in the next hour as well. So Dave Elswick Show. Let's get to the news, and then we'll have more to look at when we come back for the show.